They're saying that he is like untouchable. They feel like he's untouchable.
I guess we'll see about that, huh?
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Sazan Hiti and his 3 weeks out physique update, as the man is doing this upcoming Detroit Pro, which is gonna be his first show of the season. And doesn't his side leg look totally freaky right here? Now for those of you guys who do not know, Sazan was never the biggest or the most freakiest guy on the stage, but it kind of seems like he's back to his size that he had back in 2018, and that is the year when he stepped away from combative bodybuilding. And then he came back last year, and his conditioning has always been so damn impressive, like it was last year at the Emperor Classic Spain. Now Sazan is a very mature IFBB pro, and we are gonna see Sazan in the mix at this upcoming Detroit Pro, fighting for the top 3, and maybe even higher than that, maybe for the win for this upcoming Detroit Pro. Now it was because of his business side of things that he took such a long break from competing, as Sazan did not do any show after 2018, and he came back to test his waters against the younger talent like Michael Krizo and Barostabani last year at the Emperor Classic Spain, and also William Bonac. And the man placed a very respectable top 4 in that show. But it was pretty much clear that what Sazan needed was more size, more mass, to compete against all these new guys of the current era. So I have got to say the new size is here, and it's gonna be thrilling to see how he compares to the likes of James Hollingshead and William Bonac again in less than 3 weeks time. So this is easily one of the most impressive looking physique update that Saz has posted. Now where Sazan would have been as a pro had he did not stop competing back in 2018? Well, he was beating the likes of Rafael Brandao and Lionel Bayeki at that time. He was fighting the likes of Nathan Diasha during that period. So I believe he would have been a multiple times Olympian by now. But that being said, eager to see how his back is gonna look like on the stage in 3 weeks time, as that has been the major weakness in his physique. So Hostel just dropped some Sherpa lined zip-up hoodies and forced hooded jackets. So do check him out and use the code FAZI10 to get 10% extra discount. Next up we have an update from Justin Shier, another guy who took the last year totally off from competing, and also another guy who's gonna be making his comeback this summer. And that is probably gonna be one of the most anticipated comebacks that we're gonna see this year. So it's a high probability that Justin is gonna be doing Chicago Pro for his comeback show, as this was that same show where Justin made his pro debut back in 2023, and he was able to put himself in that elite category of those bodybuilders who won at their pro debuts. Now that in itself is such a huge achievement, because not many guys can claim that, to have that kind of record. Even a guy like the mutant Nick Walker or the winning Miss Olympia Samson Dauda can say that. Now Justin is one of those guys who is extremely aesthetic, and he was so complete from the front, even back in 2023, that he was able to beat a bunch of very good bodybuilders like Blessing Avodibu, John De Rosa, Stanimol, Patrick Moore. And even though he wasn't that good from the back, but still, that look was good enough to get him that win. And he was able to make his Olympia debut that year because of that win, which by the way did not go as expected, as Justin was aiming for a top 10 finish. And actually that was the whole point of skipping the entire 2024 to focus on bringing up the lagging body parts, especially his back. And you have got to believe that he's gonna show up with some drastic improvements, even in the stubborn body parts, as his transformation, especially how his back changed from the time he started competing to the time when he won his first pro show. That was quite amazing. Now from the front, Justin is an ideal bodybuilder. Big bubbly quads, small waistline, wide lats, those huge arms. That makes him one of the most aesthetic guy in the open bodybuilding right now, because that is what all the bodybuilders ask for. So like I said before, this is gonna be another anticipated return to the stage this year. Now it is kind of crazy to think that so many of these guys like Regan, Charles Griffin, Blessing Avodibu, Justin Shier, Michael Krizo, they are returning after a 1 full year. Yes, Krizo was injured, but all these other guys, they took the last whole year off. And out of all these guys, who do you guys think is gonna place the highest at the Olympia this year, given that they all qualify? Charles Griffin's hamstrings and glutes, they are just on a whole different level. That's just bonkers. And the crazy thing is that he hasn't even started the prep yet. And they're already looking so damn grainy. And this year, we will most likely see the best of him, as he took the whole last year off. And he's gonna be making his comeback with a winning mindset. Because as per Charles Griffin, this might very well be his last one as a competitive bodybuilder, and also for that Mr. Olympia stage. So from a guy who had a wide waistline and the weakest midsection, he has made such great progress. Just look at the depth of that vacuum in his recent update, and doing rounds and rounds of vacuums. That is a part of his daily routine. And Charles is actually that guy who reintroduced the vacuum in the open bodybuilding. That too in such a streamlined fashion. Now Charles hasn't announced what show is going to be targeting for his comeback. Now at his best, he's a very hard guy to beat. Unless of course a top tier Olympian they show up for battle. And he himself has placed as high as top 10 at his last Miss Olympia, which was back in 2023. And that was also his last show. And him placing top 10 in the world without even properly training his chest and with that visible pec tier, that just goes to show us how good this guy truly is. Now his biggest strength is that this guy never misses his mark in terms of the condition on the day of the show. He always comes in absolutely shredded and ripped to the bone, and he can expose so many guys on the basis of that pure conditioning. Now what coach would Charles go for this upcoming season? That is an unanswered question, as Matt Jensen is former coach. He retired from the coaching scene, so we're gonna have to wait and see which coach Charles is gonna go for this upcoming season. So there are some big changes that happen in a physique over time. Negative changes, which are kind of irreversible after a certain point. And Big Ramy's evolution, that is the prime example of that. And I have got to say those guys at the O2 Gym Kuwait, they are to be blamed, as they just kept on pushing him to be bigger, put on more size, and be more muscular. Now this physique of Big Ramy from 2014 Miss Olympia, that has got to be one of the most impressive physique of the last decade or so. If you look at the size of his quads, the shoulder width, and the ratio to that waistline. Now I'm not saying he deserved to place higher in that particular show, as he was kind of soft in the hamstrings and the glutes area. But his flow at that time, that was truly spectacular and simply supreme. And from that point onwards, he started to get bigger and more muscular. And what actually made him win the Olympia eventually in 2020, it was the conditioning that made him stand out. So maybe if he had the right people in his corner all along for all those years, he probably would have had a different strategy to chase the legend Phil Heath. We talk about the importance of density and maturity that these bodybuilders get over time. But there is something about that young muscle that looks a lot fresh that Big Ramy had at the starting point of his pro career back in 2014. And that is a prime example. Plus also a guy like Dennis Wolf and how amazing he looked back in 2007 when he was like 27 years old. But the man looked crazy that year. So 2014 physique of Big Ramy was simply phenomenal. But do let me know what you guys think. Next up, we have an update from the former 2-times Classic Physique Olympia champion, Breon Ansley, giving a timeline on what show he's gonna do as a 212 guy to punch his Olympia ticket.
Is incredible.
Terrence coming back. I'm sad to go, but I gotta go. But now I have a great challenge with Keone now, and Sean.
Got him for the win.
Hell yes. Now I have a great challenge, and
yeah, it'll be exciting.
That challenge is something special. And Keone is a friend of mine. He called me when I made the decision.
Now it is kind of interesting that Breon keeps on mentioning Keone Pearson and Sean as his main competition in the 212. And this displays what kind of confidence he has in his ability to excel and improve even at this stage of his career. And the most crucial factor, that is gonna be his age. Now so far there hasn't been any drop in terms of the size in Breon's quad. In fact, he has done a superb job keeping them up year after year, although he was struggling so much to hold on to that muscle before every single competition because of that weight cap.
Too fast.
Have you set your eyes on a particular show yet or no?
Something around August, September maybe. Something around August, September, a little bit later.
People start pulling out of those shows. They're
We'll see, but yeah, that'll give me some time to kind of put some good mass on. They're saying that he is like untouchable. They feel like he's untouchable.
I guess we'll see about that, huh?
I mean, you know, I might have hopefully I have something to say about that, but I see why they say that though, because he's really strong. He's really strong.
Definitely one of the best bodybuilders this generation.
Yeah, really, really strong, man.
Now, Breon undoubtedly has to be one of the most consistent guy that we have seen in classic physique division in the last 9 years. He did 9 Miss Olympias back to back, and you just cannot even point one time when Breon was off. And that is what makes him really dangerous, even in the 212. Now, Keone Pearson, as a champ, he's simply untouchable. But if Breon can come into a bigger division and he places top 5 at the Olympia in his first try, I think that would be amazing and such a huge accomplishment. Considering the guy is 45 years old, now it kind of seems like that Breon has put on some weight. And the only reason he isn't doing a show earlier than August is that he wants to make sure he shows up bigger for his comeback in the 212. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.